How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another review with RONIN 47R. Today we're taking a look at the Type 64. It's a brand new Chinese premium tank, and what's really brand new about this is that the Chinese nation has just been introduced to the world of tanks on the Xbox 360 edition. So on top of that, you're getting a premium. So it's kind of a double new thing here. I'm walking you through the purchasing of the Type 64 through the store, and you can see here on the right hand side, for the record, I have recorded the information as it was posted in the store, the different ammunition, the premium days, which are 3, comes with a garage slot. It does come with 100% crew, but as usual, they have no perks or skills. Now, this tank was sold for 4,400 gold for the whole package, and this tank and the 2 other Chinese premium tanks, which we will get into in another review, the 112, which is the heavy tank, tier 8, and the T-34-3, which is a tier 8 medium tank. We'll get into those at another time. But all 3 of these tanks were released on the same day, which was May 21st, 2015. And there we have the tanks now in the garage, and you can see the symbol. I believe that's a chrysanthemum, not sure, for the Chinese nation. And you can see the tank itself is an open turreted tank. It's very small, and it's a light tank. You know, we've seen the promotional pictures. We've heard it was coming. Gosh, just a day or so before it actually did. But finally, it's here, so we have an opportunity to check it out. Now, the Type 64 is listed as being a very fast tank. And according to the blurb of information on the website for the Type 64, it is supposed to have a top speed of 72 kilometers per hour. And what's interesting about this is that this is based on the M18 Hellcat, according to their information. And it can also act, and just kind of reading it here, but in short, it's kind of a hunter. It's like any other scout, you know, and it depends on what. There's variations within scouting tanks themselves, but it can do everything from passive scouting, active scouting. It could be counter scout hunting, artillery hunting, and just all around harassing. Now, when it comes to harassing the enemy, what this tank carries is a 76mm cannon, and it has really good gun depression. That I would say is related to the M18 Hellcat turret, because the U.S. tanks are known for having good gun depression. The other item that is important to point out is that it does have an open turret, so vents are not going to be an offering for the equipment on the upgrade. Also, too, this is a very lightly armed vehicle. It's also open turret, as I just said, so it is going to be very vulnerable to HE rounds or just any type of shells altogether. So keep that in mind. And you can see here, this is exactly how it was posted on the website when they did sell this on May 21st through May 31st. And they did have these 3 sold at the same time, introduced at the same time, and you can see exactly what was offered with the 3. You can see they aren't exactly cheap. You know, you're looking at 4,400 for the tier 6, 12,000 for the medium tier 8, and 12,000 for the heavy tier 8 tank. They do come with some premium days, but it isn't inexpensive. Now, this item here I put into the review because I kind of like to capture the history of things with these tanks when they're coming out. And this was something else in a different posting by Wargaming. This was some information that they shared, and it's very similar to the first one. But just as a reminder, they're just giving some information such as it only carries 45 shells, so to be wary of that. And they are saying that it does have excellent on the move firing ability. So that is something that I'm going to want to check out. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at the overview because I want to get into the actual data. So for the hull, you have 25mm of armor in the front, 19 in the rear, and 13 on the sides. And as far as the turret is concerned, you have 25 in the front, 13 on the sides, and 13 in the rear. So other than the rear, you have the exact same amount of armor all the way around. It does have 72 kilometers per hour for the top speed. It says it has a 500 horsepower engine, so it assists with that acceleration. Now, the hull rotation, the chassis rotation, 56 degrees per second, which is incredibly fast. The view range is 390 meters, and the turret rotation is 36 degrees per second. Rate of fire, 18.18 rounds per minute. So this tank is going to be a very good fighter against lone tanks. It's going to be able to circle it and put them down. And this is some interesting information from Tankopedia, where it's just talking about how 50 of these were created in Taiwan. Only one survives today. And you can see here, so far in the Tankopedia, there are only 3 vehicles, 3 tanks in the Chinese nation's line. Again, this is a tier 6, and you can see that it does come in at 22.97, almost 23 tons. The tank itself is valued at 3,500 gold. We've already discussed the mobility aspects of the tank. It is very quick. The armor, again, very much the same, except for the rear, where the hull is 19 and the turret is 12. However, in the other schematics, it said 13. Now, the gun itself is the 76mm gun M1A2. Keep that in the back of your mind. 86 for the damage. And the armor penetration is 96mm. Rate of fire, 18.18 rounds per minute. View range, 390 meters. And remember, this thing only carries 45 shells. Now, this gun should be familiar because we have seen it in the American line. I'm curious to go back and see where else we can find it. All right, so now we're going back into the garage, and we're going to go ahead and admire this thing because it is the first time we've ever seen it. It's really cool looking. I like it. I love my tanks, and I love how they are just so different. Similar, but different, even though this one is related allegedly to the turret of the Hellcat. And the chassis is based on an anti-aircraft tank that, is not in the game, but in real life it came from that. So, it's just another added piece of history, and it's just an interesting thing to have a chance to drive around in our virtual world here. Now, you know me, the first thing I got to do is I got to put those emblems on there and really make it mine, so that looks good. The turret itself really reminds me, or you can really see how it is related to the Hellcat and the Tier 7, the T25/2. You can see how it goes along that line. Now, with the hull, I'm noticing one of the things that kind of stands out is that there's not a lot of sloping. Well, there's not a lot of armor either, so it's kind of a double whammy. Definitely not going to want to get hit in this thing. Second of all, I was noticing that it's very short in length, and that's a good thing because it's going to be harder to be seen. This is a tank that's going to benefit, they all benefit from having camouflage paint on it, but remember, camouflage paint is only a percentage of the existing camouflage rating for the tank. So, and when it comes to light tanks, they have a much higher camouflage rating than, say, a heavy tank. They're much smaller, both in height, in length, and width, etc. So when you put on camouflage paint or anything else that assists with camouflage, it increases it's a percentage increase based on your existing camouflage rating. So when it comes to light tanks, absolutely. If there's one tank you do not want to skimp on putting paint on, it would be a light tank. Furthermore, I would even add that for the tank destroyers as well. But getting back to this particular tank, I was very interested to see what different color schemes and patterns the nation, the Chinese nation offers, because each nation does have its own unique look when it comes to painting their tanks. Right now I'm trying to debate which one I'm going to do for this one here, and I'm going to go ahead and just go with this one here. I don't know, it's kind of funky cool. So there are my choices. As usual, it's a premium tank. I'm going to go ahead and put on some permanent camouflage. Now you can see in the garage I have, at this point in time of recording, have already purchased the 3 tanks, but we are going to stay on the Type 64 for this particular review. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of taking my time. It's kind of like when you're eating and you're going to savor it, you're going to chew your food. I'm noticing that the turret here on the overview, when you press the Y button from the garage, is a Type 64, so I'm kind of filing that away in the back of my mind. And I noticed that everything on this Tier 6 Premium is a Tier 6 item, and that's, to me, a good sign. On the right-hand side, you can see it's scrolling along with some information about the tank. And again, the turret is a Type 64, so, is what I'm thinking. Now, according to this information, which is a little different than the previous information, it says penetration is 128. The damage is 115. That's probably the middling or the average roll for that particular gun, which is, in this case, a 76mm gun, M1A2. Aiming time is 2.09. Accuracy is 0.40. We've already discussed the quick traverse speed of the hull, and it says it's a Type 64 turret. And we've talked about the quick turret rotation as well. Now with the crew, which it came with, I'm going to go ahead and get them started on 6 cents, because when it comes to crews, that's the first thing that I want to go ahead and get them started on. I feel it is the most important aspect of skills and perks available. Switching over to the consumables, you know, I've never used this tank before, and I don't consider myself a light tanker, so I am kind of feeling my way through the dark on this one based on past experience. And I'm going to go ahead and do my usual consumables. Eventually, I will switch those out to the large kits, but I will go ahead and switch it over to, for when it replenishes, it will be using silver. Now I'm going to go ahead and start off with 33, 10, and 2 for my AP, for my premium rounds, and for my HE. When it comes to equipment, vents are out of the question because we've already discussed why, being open turreted. But if that's already gone, I'm going to have something open to choose from, and I'm not really interested in any of the things down below that I'm hovering over. Maybe adding to the treads, to the tracks, to give them some durability, but not really. I don't plan on getting hit. How am I going to, avoid getting hit? That would be not being seen. So I'm going to go ahead and want to see them before they see me. Accentuate, capitalize on my 390 meter view range. And I'm going to go ahead and throw on a camouflage net, of course, for the camouflage ability to enhance that. But I'm also going to go ahead and throw on some nice eyeballs. I'm going to put on the coated optics and do something rare, which I normally don't ever do. And I'm going to double up. So basically, while driving, sure, I'm going to get a percentage, 10%. When sitting still, I'll get 25%. And then, of course, sitting still, I'll get the 25% added bonus for the camouflage net, which is added to the paint based on the camouflage rating of the tank. So there she is, all paint and pretty. Now, when you press Y, it shows all of your goodies, your ammunition, the equipment, your consumables. I mean, it shows the whole kit and caboodle. Now, you can see in the garage, I do have it set up for, and I'm going back and forth to kind of remind myself what it is that this particular tank has, because you cannot pull up different tanks' information simultaneously. But I set up the garage just to compare it to some other tier 6 light tanks just because I was curious. So I threw in a French and I threw in the American. And then there was the Hellcat. Why? It's a tank destroyer, I know, but I was really curious to see what they said about the turret. Now what's interesting is that the Hellcat's turret is the M18M1. M18M1. They say it's the Hellcat's turret, and visually it looks very similar, but just for kicks, I'm pointing out that the information for that particular turret is different than what is said, when we look at the details here. So go scratch your head and figure that one out. And if you notice, the gun available on the Hellcat is the same as the premium tank. However, please note, the Hellcat's top gun is a 90mm gun. The one right below that, the second best gun, is the one that you have in the Type 64, which is a 76mm gun. So, is it a good gun? Absolutely. But does it match a tank destroyer at the same tier? No, and nor should it. It's a different class, not to mention it's a premium, and generally they have some type of, in order for you to get the benefits of a premium, you generally have to, take into account some type of nerf, something that they're going to take away from that premium tank. Now, what I'm doing in the background is also just kind of, hovering over the different light tanks, just as a quick overview, comparing the green bars to see how they move. That way I can just kind of get a quick visual reference, look at the armor ratings. I'm just kind of curious. So is the armor similar to the T21 in the US? Absolutely. Turns out when it comes to the French, the AMX-12T is way more armored. It's just the way the different nations develop their philosophies towards certain classes of tanks, how they're going to be used, etc., etc. So the Type 64 being similar to the T21 kind of makes sense. Why? Because, well, it's based off of, it was created out of Taiwan, having close ties to America during that time and today. And it's based on American tanks and parts. So it only makes sense that the Chinese Type 64 is very, very close to and similar to the development, the details of the American light tank and the American tank destroyer, the Hellcat. All right, so I'm kind of done looking at that, and now I'm going back to take a look at the Type 64. Like I said, I really want to study. This is just the way I do things. Some people like to just, jump in a tank, turn the key, and, metaphorically, and drive off with it, and that's great. I myself, I mean, the Chinese nation isn't even around for me to even know how their other tanks, let alone premium tanks, work. So I really wanted to take the time, especially for this review, for you guys. If you don't have this in your garage, you wouldn't be able to be poking around and comparing. So I'm kind of doing all that work for you so that you have the opportunity to do it. And if, this sort of thing is, not your interest, then that's more than welcome to please fast forward through this and or click the available link for some browsers, straight to the gameplay. But I was just taking a look at the tank destroyer turret in the tier 7. But let's go ahead and take this thing out for a spin. You know me, I'm not exactly the best light tanker out there, but this can be a lot of fun, and half the fun is just learning how to use a new tank, especially one that no one's ever seen before. All right, well, I'm up to the challenge, and here we are on Mines. It's actually one of my favorite maps. I don't know. Maybe because it was one of the first maps that I ever played on, but I like it. It's pretty simple and basic, and I like the centerpiece. But using the 72 kilometers per hour, I am going to try to race up here and own the hill. All right, well, we made it, so that's good. A couple of tier 6s over there. Now remember, when it comes to scouting, and I have to change. This is almost like giving myself advice. You got to change your mindset, because the job of this guy here is not to get Top Gun and destroy all these tanks and be the winner of the world. Your job is to gather intel for your team. If there's any low health guys, maybe finish them off. Distract guys. Take out high value targets like the artillery. And on and on. So this is the job of a scout. And that is what I'm doing. Furthermore, one of the challenges that I have, and this is, it's a review on the tank, but it's also naturally the experience that I'm having. And if you were to, at this time, before the Chinese line is introduced, you and I were sitting there looking at this, and we have just 3 tanks to choose from, and those are just the premiums. We have no crew. The crew we have is the crew that comes with this, and the crew that comes with this has no perks and no skills. The reason why I'm bringing that up is that any tank driver, but especially someone who does not want to get shot, like a scout, you're going to want to have 6th sense. I don't want to be told I'm detected after the fact. I want to know about it ahead of time. So one of the challenges that I found running this Chinese premium tank, and in the other tanks, and it has nothing to do with the tanks, but it's just what the experience that I had while using these tanks, and that is having no skills or perks is something I'm not used to. Especially since it is a premium tank, I'm used to dropping in someone from that nation who has, a good handful of skills and running the tank. But yes, they're 100%, but I didn't, I don't know. I just feel like if I do this well, or if I'm having this much fun in any given tank, this one as an example, I cannot wait to see what it's going to feel like to have a crew that has, brothers in arms, 6th sense, and so on. Well, as you can see, in just a matter of 2.5 minutes, we've already lost over half the team. I don't think it's because of something that I didn't do. Maybe I could have done more, but it just didn't work out. So, what can you do? Well, I can come over and try to get more than 3 pins and spots and spotted damage and a critical, add to the score. Let's see what happens. I was hoping for my binoculars to kick in and I would see the person capping, because it's only one. Everyone else is hunting. But no one was there. So, I have to put myself in harm's way and reset this thing, because nobody else is going to do it. They're busy spread out. And it's a Hellcat. Isn't that kind of ironic? Now look at the traverse speed on the turret. on the hull. I'm going to assume he's either just missed because it was a bad shot, or he was using auto aim and I was too quick. I don't know. Got clipped there. I rolled a 122 when I got him and tried to be tricky, and it worked. So at least I got him, you know, same tier, but he was a TD, and I came out with just over half of my health, so I don't think it was a bad exchange. This is a pretty nice tank. This is the first game that I'm showing you. Obviously, I played a handful to get some footage for the review, but I went into this, well, I try to be as open-minded as possible. I love all tanks, but I am not a light tanker, and I have to really concentrate. It's like being a beginning driver. This tank was actually a lot more fun than I thought. I don't know. If you were to tell me, hey, Ronin, go grab a light tank and let's go platoon up, this was probably the tank that I'd grab. It's, I don't know. It's nimble. You know what it's like? It's like, kind of like a tank destroyer. And I like tank destroyers. It reminds me of a beefed up, well, I mean, it is related to the Hellcat, but it's like a beefed up tier 6 T-49, you know? It is what it is. Don't get shot. You can see things far away. The accuracy is 0.40, but you can still have fun with that. I don't know. I like it. I think I like things that can move pretty well. I don't know. It's good times. Not much to see in this game other than what little I did. You can see the amount of penetrations. You can see how it looks, how it feels going against this Chinook. It's a tier 5, medium. Nothing to shake a stick at. And the rate of fire, you know, I'm laying into him pretty good, and he's missing. Every single shot he missed. And it was fairly level ground. This thing can put some work on, you know, put some work over the opposition when it's one-on-one. Now I'm kind of in a corner. I don't know. You've got eyes on me from all around, and it is just the inevitables happening. Somebody's on the other side of this hill. I'm facing a T-29. You know, I mean, it's to the left, to the front, to the rear. It's a bad day in Shamrock for me. So it's a defeat. I'm the last one alive. What's interesting, though, is to see how little work I did to see what did that get me. Yes, there was 250 experience operation there, but other than that, you can see that everything was straight up score. And for that little bit of work, for that defeat, almost 60,000, not bad at all. I mean, I was really surprised. Almost 2,000 on the experience. I got a handful of some of those new medals and the old medals there. It's pretty fun. And good old ribbons. There you go. 12 penetrating hits. That's not too bad. 2 killed. What was interesting was how much ahead I was of second place. And it's not about a, hey, look at me, but I was just saying, I just kind of gauge, you know, how much work do you put into a game? What do you get rewarded by? And that's kind of what I look at. And I just didn't feel like I did all that much work in that game, except for at the very end when I was battling one-on-one those 2 tanks. But other than that, I really didn't feel like I was working the whole game. So I was pretty pleased with that. Now, we're opening up here on Westfield. You know, this map, yes, it has some very steep hills, but it's really nice. I love how open it is. I am a scout, and it is open. I'm feeling good, you know. It has 72 kilometers per hour. You know, watch me stretch my legs. Now, this can go up to, you know, tier 9, but this game here is only up to tier 7. So it's another, you know, 1 tier. Yeah, not bad. I can handle that. So I was feeling pretty good about this game. 33 rounds of AP, 10 rounds of premium, 2 rounds of HE. You can see I switched over to the large kits, and I'm still running with the same equipment. I never changed that out. Binoculars, optics, which run continually, and camouflage net. Peeking over, and at 390 meters, well, plus 10% of that, nothing. I'm not seeing anything. And I was kind of surprised, because usually there's a pretty good bum rush for that location on the map. And there you go. Up and over the hill, and there's our buddy, Mr. Tank Destroyer, Mr. T-49. Well, okay. Keep up with the name changes, Ronin. T67 now. But he'll always be a T49 in my heart. But so it was interesting. Everything was working. Did a little Tokyo drift there. Saw me coming down the hill and I turned. So I'm all by myself over here. I'm going to peek through and look over to the north. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and peek through the north like I just got through telling you. And you may have noticed I just broke through the wall. And some of you are probably wondering why. Well, there's two reasons. One, it's just a weird hang-up I have. If I'm going to shoot, I want to be able to shoot. If I've given a choice, I want to be able to shoot without having to break the wall while I'm shooting, number one. Number two, I just kind of like to have that extra visual on target. I do understand that having that obstacle between us does help with my ability to hide, but I don't know, just a personal preference, I'd rather just give it up. So here I am. I'm losing some of my camouflage factor on purpose. Well, as a side note, I'm realizing it. I'm okay with it because I'm taking some shots of opportunity. Now I'm detected. I wish I had Sixth Sense because that would have told me ahead of time, but I have to wait to be detected and then initiate the move. So the Churchill, the Tier 5 heavy tank, went ahead and took a bit of health off of me. Not too big of a deal. All right, so now remember, this is not exactly a sniping tank, .40, but usually I have some pretty good luck, especially with better crews, although this is not a better crew. And you can see I'm sniping all the way across the map. I mean, it's practically half the map. So, very cool. Now, there we go. I went ahead and used the force there and figured about where he should be, where my crosshairs should be on the tank, and was able to get a hit, even though it was through the wall. It is my understanding that some of the penetrations will be affected, decreased, if you will, when it has to go through other material. Another reason why I don't like to shoot through things if I don't have to. You know, again, I'm new to this tank. During this game, this is obviously after the game, but during this game, I was not aware of how much ammunition I was using. I'm already down to 16 rounds on the AP. And there's still a lot of bad guys out there. Quick reminder, recap, of course, my job is not to be Mr. Primary Alpha, destroy other tanks guy, but it's hard for me not to do that when I see opportunities. All right, so I like hearing those beeps, those audio cues when I play. Helps me pay attention to what is going on. So our team is identifying some bad guys out there. And you can see there's the premium. It's the Panzer, it's the M10. It's the Panzer Panther that pretends to be the Wolverine tank destroyer. Tier 7 medium tank. So I'm being spotted, I pull back. And again, I just want to restate, I cannot wait to see what it feels like to play this tank with a crew that has Sixth Sense and Brothers in Arms. That's going to be, it's a whole new ball game in my opinion. Because I always run my my crews that way. So I'm used to running premiums, let alone non-premium tanks with those crews. And I shouldn't be without that unless it's like a tier 2 or 3 or something where I was just developing the crew. But here I am, tier 6, and I'm just starting out with a brand new crew. It's very different for me personally. Alright, so there's a Tiger heavy tank out there. I do not have a lot of penetration at that distance. And again, I'm going to restate that gosh, I see those targets out there, and especially when you're giving me your broadside, I want to shoot you. 12 penetrations, 1 tank destroyed. I've got lots of spotted and spotted damage, 7 criticals. So, taking care of business. It's a pretty good game. Now, the reason why I didn't go any further to assist with that tank destroyer was, if you don't know how to swim, you don't jump in and try to save someone from drowning. If I got too close, that Tiger would tear me up. So I had to be patient. All right, so he has been spotted and he is done. I like all these enemy tanks that are by themselves. That's so unwise, but please, Reds, continue to do that. So we've got some movement in on the north. Trying to get into position. I don't want to go head on. I'm always trying to be sneaky. I'm always trying to flank, be where they don't expect me to be where they're not looking. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and run north and try to sweep around from the west. Notice I continually get detected, and I don't know who it's from. I did see a shot come in further west and northwest, so I'm going to go ahead and take my flanking circle and make it even wider. There's being brave, and then there's being reckless, and you got to know the thin line between that. I'm always battling the greed of trying to get that hit or get involved with the battle, but I don't do the team any good if I rush out there and get killed or severely damaged where I'm no help. Now, I know it's a .40 accuracy, and I know that might not have been repeatable, but gosh darn it, that was a great sniping shot just over the horizon on that turret. This is a very capable tank. Very, very capable. I was very, very pleased with it. Again, I don't know if it's because I went into it low expectations, because I knew that, hey, it's, you know, me, and I'm not Mr. Light Tank guy. But it was fun. It was nimble. It was the view range. Kind of did what I wanted with the TD as this light tank. So there's that guy we were hitting on earlier, the M10 there, the Panzer V M10. He's not really reacting, which is interesting. I would think that he would be moving back. I mean, I've nailed him 3 times, 4 times, and he just stayed there. But okay. The Churchill, I'm bouncing shots off of that. That's just too far. He has great armor in relation to my gun. And, of course, the distance was very, very large. Now we're down to 2 enemy. Unbeknownst to me, well, I'm not going to give it away. I'm just going to let you continue watching, and then I'll tell you my epiphany at the end. So now I got him. Again, perfect flanking action there. And he is hitting me. I'm being a lot more risky than I wanted to be. And that was a nice shot on the move. You know, they did advertise, hey, this is great for doing that. By the way, that was a yellow. And I'm getting 18s on that. And I was wondering what the heck is going on with those 18 rolls. That's ridiculous. You hear that? I moved into position to fire, and it went click, click, click. Look down below at my ammunition. I never do that. I ran out of ammunition. So, yeah, that was good times. A really good game. And obviously I was not paying attention. Blew all my premium rounds, my 2 HE rounds, and wanted more. So, good times. So, you know, it cost me spending those premium rounds, absolutely. But I still walked away with 72,000. I don't believe there was any bonuses to assist with the silver. And I don't believe there was any bonuses for the experience. So that's a lot of silver and a lot of experience. I was very pleased. All right, so now what I'm really curious to see is the details. So we're getting through the ribbons, and we're going to go ahead and take a look. Got some more experience, trying to build those crews up. And there you go. I mean, that's a lot of raw experience, and well ahead of the guy in second place. This time, yes, I do feel like I did put some work in, but once again, I just feel like if you're doing your job as a scout and spotting, and secondary is, you know, shooting, you're going to come away with a very good game. All right, now this is the last game for the review here, and it is on Karelia, and this one here is up to a tier 8 now. Strangely enough, you know, I can't predict how you're going to do, and I can't predict what you're going to enjoy. It's very subjective. I can only tell you what I like, and I was pleasantly surprised to feel comfortable. I don't know. It's, you know, this tank gives me a lot of confidence, even in high-tier games, and I don't know why. Well, maybe it's the speed. I feel like I can get to places pretty much almost for sure ahead of the opposition. So it's on my terms. It's a turreted E25. How's that? You know? So it was just a lot of fun. I just felt very comfortable with this. I felt very confident with it. Once I figured out how to, and I'm still learning, by the way, but I mean, you know, once I figured out, okay, this is the feel for it. You can get shot once or twice, you know, from the lower tier guys, but for the most part, just act like you're made of glass. primarily, be patient, primarily be the spotter, call out the shots. Then when you see guys that are getting, hurt, they're low on health, that sort of thing, distract the enemy, help out your team by distracting the enemy. Switching to HE for the open turret there, that TD, and didn't work out the way I thought it would. I thought it would do a lot more damage, but whatever. And then I was just too lazy to switch back. I'm like, it's one more HE, who cares? But anyway, so it was just a really, really fun tank. I mean, I was just so surprised. This is one of those converter tanks. This is a tank that converts you from one tank class to another. And I have been officially converted to a light tank driver because of this one. And again, I know I'm restating it, but I think it's because it is so related to the tank destroyers that I've grew up with and that I like so much. Anyways, check this out. And that is a tier 8, and that was the side of the turret. And that's what I think this guy excels at. He is a mini medium flanker tank. He is a scout tank. He is a mini tank destroyer. That's what the Type 64 is. It is an irritating gnat. It just bugs people. I mean, you are in and you are out. It is hard to hit. Once you're hit, though, it hurts a lot. But, it's really cool. Now, notice what I did was I took over, left the spotting, passive spotting job, helped out when I noticed the bad guys came up on our hill, shooed them away. The super Pershing shows up, our guys move forward, and I felt like, okay, now it's back to me looking into the valley and taking over the scouting job again, because these guys have it handled. Looking at the map, a minute goes by or whatever, and it looks like somebody creeped up, and now our guy needs help because he's being surrounded. Well, all right, back to work again. And again, strangely enough, it's the mobility. You just feel so comfortable and confident in this tank that you can get in and put the hurt on. It's weird in a good way. Now here's a T-29. Now thankfully, of course, the advantage that I have is I'd never brawl. I mean, but it's great when enemies are distracted. It's so fun and so quick to get into position. It's like nothing. There you go. And I did not mean to do that. Why are you ramming with a light tank? Yeah, great question. This is where I was starting to get really concerned. For some reason, I don't know if it's... Have you guys noticed? It seems like there's more coasting. I don't know what else to call it. It's like coasting. You let off on the accelerator. You stop. You tell it to stop. Or you tell it to not go forward, rather. And I'm not saying about going in reverse. You click the autopilot, the cruise control, and then you click it again to make it stop. And I swear, it coasts. And I feel that that is new. And I feel that it is intermittent. I don't feel like it happens all the time. And it is something that gets me into trouble. All right. Similar to what happened with me on mines, I'm going to, hit and run. Now, the reason why I went straight and then I went to the left and then I went straight is because I did not want this guy to line up on me and do a shotgun blast. So that's what I was doing there. And then we just have these 3 tanks left. Not sure what is what. Now, he's down, so he was not part of my thought process very long. But I did know that we had these tank destroyers, and they can absolutely wreck me. So here's this T-28 prototype, and I'm thinking, I don't want a piece of this guy. He would really hurt me. But when I noticed and recognized that he was facing the other way, and knowing how slow he is, I'm like, oh yeah, I can get like 4 shots into this guy before it's even a problem for me. It's not about me getting the last kill. It's about, staying alive and helping the team. And that was just one of those you couldn't have predicted, or if I had 6th sense, I would have been able to have a heads up. And the T-28 was just pointing in the right direction. Now, this is what the T-28 can't handle. Watch this. I totally missed. But guess what? There is no way he is going to keep up with turning with me. And if it wasn't for the artillery, that T-28 would have been mine. So is this a great tank? I love it. Absolutely a keeper. Absolutely happy I got it. 83. Tier 6 at 83,000 silver. Yeah, not bad. 3,000 experience. Yeah, not bad. I don't believe there's any special bonuses for the beyond normal premiums for the silver and the experience. But gosh, it sure seems like it's working out well in the Type 64. So it has converted me. Now let's go ahead and see what the final result is. first, second, third, 15th, 100th place, whatnot. But, you know, that one I absolutely felt like, yes. Now, that was a game that you put some work in. And you can see, you know, several hundred ahead of the next guy, and he put in work. So good for him. So great tank. Guys, I can't tell you what tank to get. I can only tell you my experiences with it. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you thought about it. And remember, if you are receiving this transmission, you are one of the 47 Ronin, and I will catch you guys later.